All right, it's game number 48 for the Boston Celtics as they kick off their 4-game road trip at LA against the Lakers. Welcome back to the Celtics pregame report. Josue Pavone here for CLNS Media, joined by a very special guest, NBA writer of the Boston Globe. He is Gary Washburn, out in Cali, enjoying some good weather, I think, and covering tonight's matchup, of course. Thanks for joining me, Gary. What's going on, man?
How's it going, man?
Nothing much. Getting ready for this 4-game road trip. I mean, and listen, look, I think most Celtics fans knew that this level of success that we're seeing from Boston this year was bound to hit a wall at some point. But I'm not quite sure this is what most people had in mind. I mean, from scoring only 80 points against Philly to falling behind by 19 against the Magic. I mean, there are quarters where the Celtics offense just can't seem to buy a basket. Of course, I'm talking about when Kyrie Irving isn't on the floor because he typically does this thing. What's the reason behind the recent struggles, in your opinion? And do you think that it's eventually going to get into the heads of this relatively young team?
I just think that they've struggled to score, and it's been like that all year, where you have Smart and Rozier, your two main bench scorers, and, you know, against the Magic, Marcus Morris started, so you had Baines coming off the bench, so it was even worse. So you had Rozier went 1 for 9, and I think Smart only took 3 shots, so basically a combined 2 for 12 from Smart and Rozier. So who do you else do you have off the bench to score? And that's been an issue all year. You just don't have a guy like a Jamal Crawford or a Lou Williams, somebody like that, who can fill it up in a shorter period of time. Like, you know, Orlando had DJ Augustine, who scored 8 points in 5 minutes, and was just kind of settled things down. He was able to kind of keep the Magic. They gave the Magic a kind of a lead, like a 7-8 point lead, before the starters came back in and rallied before the first half. And it's like the Celtics, unless that really rare occasion where Rozier's on or Smart is on, don't really have that guy, so the offense suffers. And although Kyrie had 40 points, Jalen and Jason have both been in a slump. Kind of just that going through that. These dog days, January, the beginning of February coming up, and they've been struggling, so they haven't been able to produce as many points. Jason was, 50% from the 3 the first 2 months of the season, and now it seems like he can't buy one, and Jalen struggled also. Jalen's, how many times him and Jason have gone to the basket over the last couple of games and gotten stripped and just turned the ball over, no foul, nothing. And it just seems like teams are scouting them a little bit better. And they're going to have to make adjustments. And I think to be the Celtics, you got to take these games seriously. And you can't think, the Lakers are struggling. I mean, they got to punch the Lakers in the mouth. Same with the Clippers. This losing streak could extend to 5, 6, or even 7 games.
With that being said, let's get into one of your most recent articles. I mean, it was headline, "It's time for the Celtics to make a trade." And that instantly got my attention because the trade deadline, of course, is right around the corner. I mean, I see a couple expendable guys on this roster, but finding a destination for these expiring deals at the right price isn't always the easiest task. Tell me about which players you like to see the Celtics target and ones that you think the Danny Ainge could use that disabled player exception on.
You said a couple of weeks ago, Lou Williams, it seems like Lou Williams will stay in L.A. He's played so well, so I don't think that's going to happen. But you got guys it's not, sexy names here, like a Marco Bellinelli or, for defense, or Nerlens Noel. And Bellinelli is a shooter who can stretch the floor. This team doesn't have shooters who can stretch the floor off the bench. I mean, Rozier, 30-some% three-point shooter, 31. Smart, we've all known, his wild inconsistencies of shooting the 3 ball. So if you play this bench and just let them shoot threes, you're generally going to be successful. And they need someone who can stretch the floor and make the game easier. So I think a guy like Bellinelli, who can run around screens, kind of like a poor man's Kyle Korver, who can get around those screens, hit a couple of threes in a row, score points in a bunch, stretch the floor. That's somebody that they need. Maybe disabled players exception. And remember, they wouldn't have to give up a player. You probably would have to waive somebody because your roster is already filled, or maybe not signed Jarrell Eddie to a second 10-day. You can figure that one out. the good thing about the St. Clair Celtics, you know, you could probably send maybe a second-round pick to some of these. You know, these teams are looking to clear cap space, get just draft picks. You know, they're not going to trade a first-rounder from Bellinelli or anything like that. But you can get a guy like that to come in who's a professional shooter. And that's what they need. This team needs shooters. They need somebody to put the ball in the basket. That's really important.
This edition of the Celtics pregame report is brought to you by DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com and use the promo code CLNS for a free sign-up with your first deposit and a shot at a share of $10,000 in total prizes. That's DraftKings.com. Use the promo code CLNS and get paid. Well, the Lakers enter tonight's game a little banged up. I mean, no Lonzo Ball. He's nursing a knee injury that Coach Walton says is going to keep him out for a while. You got Brandon Ingram, who's still recovering from a sprained left ankle. And then, of course, there's Julius Randle, who's coming off a knee injury. So they're pretty banged up, but still they put back-to-back wins together. One against the Pacers, the other one against the Knicks. Now, but the most impressive win, in my opinion, was easily when they knocked off the Spurs not too long ago. So this is a team that's capable of knocking off the Celtics, like you said earlier. And what do you think the Celtics are going to have to do to make sure that doesn't happen?
They have to, you know, punch first. You know, the Lakers seem like the type of team, and watching them, that if they get that early momentum, they're going to stay close. But if they get down early, they'll stay down. You know, there's just been so many games this year where they've looked good, and then there's games that look completely terrible. So you can't, you know, the place is going to be rocking tomorrow because it's the Celtics in town. Kyrie's first game in LA as a Celtic. You know, the number one seed in the East. You know, it's a TNT game, so it'll be national televised. So, you know, you're going to have some lust in this game, and you got to make sure those young guys don't get off and go early, you know, because, yeah, you're not playing, you know, no Lonzo, but Ingram's a guy who can put some buckets together. You know, Kyle Kuzma was dangerous. Remember, the Lakers played this summer pretty tough in Boston, you know, in the early going in November when they came in. I mean, it was not an easy game. They didn't put them away till late, you know. So you got to jump on these teams. You got to make a statement. You know, you got to, you know, and you're desperate. You lost 3 in a row. They lost. I mean, that Orlando loss is one of the bigger upsets of the season. I mean, I thought Charlotte winning at Golden State was probably the biggest upset of the season so far. But I mean, the Magic hadn't won on the road since December 3rd, and they had lost 15 of their last 17 games before that win. I mean, this was not a team that's 500. I mean, they're awful, and they were without Vucevic. You know, they were without Vucevic and Jonathan Isaac, and they still came in with the better team for 48 minutes. I mean, you know, it wasn't like the Celtics were chasing pretty much the whole game.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a shocker. You know, if the Celtics may have shot better in the fourth quarter, they would have had a chance to rally, but they couldn't because Orlando was awful down the stretch, but they held on. So there's a reason for concern for the Celtics. I mean, they got to play well. They need to play one of these good, complete games. I mean, even the Philadelphia game in London, like they came back in the second half and kicked their butts, but they haven't played a good 40-minute game in a while.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. Isaiah Thomas recently called out his teammates in Cleveland for not taking pride on how they defend. Kind of funny coming from IT, but not the best defender out there. But he also compared their defense to last season's Celtics, saying, "In Boston, we were a much better defensive team. We tried harder. I don't think we trust each other right now." Tell me, is Isaiah out of line for questioning his team when he's, you know, his debut was just about 3 weeks ago when he first donned the wine and blue uniform? What's your take on this? Or could these comments actually spark the Cavaliers? Which one do you think it is?
I think that he's trying to spark his team. I don't think Isaiah. I mean, but Isaiah's a guy that as we learned in Boston, speaks his mind. And he's not happy about the situation. And, you know, it's just, Isaiah, you're not exactly thrilled right now. You're comfortable in Boston. You gave that organization all you had. You're thinking, hey, we're going to get Gordon Hayward. We're gonna make a real run in the East. All of a sudden, you get traded to Cleveland. And it sounds great, but the whole atmosphere is different. You're no longer one of the veterans of the team. You're one of the young guys. You're playing with guys like Dwayne Wade, J.R. Smith. You know, guys who, you know, I'm sure are nice guys, but they all still think that they're in their primes. So you've got to carve out playing time. You've got to find a role. You're playing with LeBron, and this team plays no defense in their own. So his whole thing is, I mean, he's playing for Ty Lue, and he's not playing for Brad Stevens anymore.
Yeah.
So, I think he's probably pretty unhappy, and he has every right to be. He's pretty, I'm sure he's trying to figure out, is this a place I want to stay? Do I want to re-sign here? Is this an atmosphere I want to be in for my long term? So I think he's speaking his mind, but he's trying to motivate his teammates.
Yeah, I don't see the continuity over there, and I figured by around this time they would have somewhat of a chemistry going, I mean, with or without Isaiah, and it doesn't seem to be coming together. One last question about Cleveland, Gary. What do they do from here? What's the deal that they need to make to shake things up a bit? Because I can't help but think that this is going to be the roster we see in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a lot of trade assets besides that Brooklyn pick, and that's really touchy because do you trade that pick and hope that LeBron stays with whatever you decide to acquire with that pick, or do you just say, hey, listen, LeBron, we don't know what you're going to do, and so we're not moving that pick because, quite honestly, that could be our next franchise player, but the Nets aren't that bad. So that could be like a 9th pick, So that's the thing now. The Nets are playing better. They won against Detroit. They are a decent team, and we've seen, they pushed the Celtics in all 3 of their matchups to the final minute. They got one more matchup in Boston, but it's like, if you're the Cavaliers, that pick is really shaky. I mean, do you move it? And then it ends up that LeBron leaves anyway, and then suddenly you have no assets? Or do you keep it and you're just like, you know what, LeBron, we're going to figure out other ways to acquire players, or do you just run those guys out there and hope they improve? I mean, they need to make a change, but is that change already on their roster? I'm on Shumpert. Is he going to spark? Do you need to start Tristan Thompson and move, Kevin Love to there's all types of scenarios, but they've got to figure this out.
Right. I mean, even Jay Crowder's having a disappointing season. I mean, I didn't expect him to drop like 17, but this is not what I had in mind when I saw him going to Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, because I just think like Isaiah, I mean, his role is completely different. And, it's tough when you're thrown into a new situation, a new role. And, I don't think Jay Crowder really knows where he's going in terms of, like, where he fits in this organization.
All right, prediction time, Gary. Who wins tonight, Celtics or Lakers?
I say the Celtics, come out with a little bit of fire. I mean, I think the Lakers have been playing well, but remember they played the Pacers are kind of an inconsistent team, and they beat the Knicks. So I think if you're the Celtics, come out, you make a statement, you punch them in the mouth, and and you keep the pedal on the gas, and you come out with a victory.
All right, he is Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe. Make sure you get yourself a copy of the Boston Globe where you can check out his great work, of course. I mean, you can definitely expect nothing but the best. Or you can subscribe online at bostonglobe.com and give him a follow on Twitter if you haven't already. G Washburn Globe. That's at G Washburn Globe. Gary, I can't thank you enough, man. This was fun. We'll definitely do this again sometime, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, for sure, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Celtics pregame report. Make sure you check out the Celtics postgame show on the clnsmedia.com website. You can call in toll free at 347-215-7771 after the game to get on the air. Or just like this show, you can listen to it on demand on the CLNS Media mobile app. Weekday shows air on the Celtics newsfeed channel on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavone, this is Josue Pavone signing off.